I have some more bad news for you guys. It's just been reported on the news.
New research finding intermittent fasting may pose risks to your heart, the practice where people eat within an 8-hour window or less. Researchers finding it poses a significant risk of dying from cardiovascular disease.
Now this sucks because I have to now change 442 of my videos. So I got my work cut out for me this weekend. So just to be safe, I think what you should start doing is you should start eating at night, snacking between your dinner and right before you go to bed. And then as soon as you wake up, start eating because we have to save your heart. Now, apparently the study is mainly focused on cardiovascular mortality, but they did find that if you do fast for longer than 16 hours, it does lower your risk for cancer.
So you need to choose, do you want to lower your risk for heart attack or cancer?
Now, of course, I'm being super sarcastic again. This was an abstract. Okay, that means a short summary of an observational study. It was based on a 24-hour dietary recall. It's based on having that person remember what they ate, which I don't even know what I ate 2 days ago. And they mainly looked at this pattern of 16-hour fasting with an 8-hour eating window. Now, this was sponsored by the American Heart Association, so we know it's legitimate because they're very unbiased.
The findings set to be presented at an American Heart Association conference.
But this is just another one of those studies where all you have to do is put a little doubt in the consumer's mind, and that's enough to get people to question, should I do it? Should I not? Is it going to be dangerous? Am I going to have a heart attack? This was a tactic that the tobacco industry has used for many, many years. Now, what I found about the author, Victor Wentz Zhang from China, I've heard about this author before, which directly opposed red meat and eggs and cholesterol. And of course, all of these studies are also observational studies. And so apparently these studies were sponsored by the American Heart Association Strategically Focused Research Networks. But the American Heart Association is the same association that promotes healthy seed oils for your heart. Personally, my viewpoint is they're not very heart healthy, but the reason they can get away with it is because it does apparently lower cholesterol. But that's a whole different topic. What I want to just kind of mention right now is 4 more credible studies that were peer-reviewed that talk about the benefits of intermittent fasting and supporting cardiovascular health. So the first one was a single-blinded randomized study, and I'm going to put all these down below in the description, long-term effects of time-restricted eating with resistance training, right? And this was over 12 months, significant decrease in body mass, fat mass, decrease in inflammation, increase in insulin sensitivity, and also a more balanced lipid profile. Without adverse effects, it was safe and effective for improving cardiovascular function. Number 2, this was a non-randomized control clinical trial for time-restricted feeding on body composition and cardiovascular risk. So they did an 18-hour fast, significant decrease in waist circumference, and significant decrease in cardiovascular risk. All right, number 3, systematic review, impact on intermittent fasting with cardiometabolic risk factors through 4 randomized control trials. The results were intermittent fasting demonstrated significant reduction in body weight,
Waist circumference,
body mass, fat mass, blood pressure, decrease in cholesterol, triglycerides, fasting insulin levels, and improvement in insulin resistance. All right, number 4 also evaluated this pattern of 16 and 8, 16-hour fasting and 8-hour eating window. This was on breast cancer survivors. It was just for 8 weeks, but there was a significant decrease in cardiovascular risk. There was decreased risk in visceral adipose tissue. And so, as much as I hate doing another video on something ridiculous like this, someone's going to read it and someone might have some doubt. You don't have to have any doubt. This so-called study was completely ridiculous and you pretty much can ignore it. And since we're talking about cardiovascular health, if you have not seen this video, you should really check it out. I put it up right here.
Shalom, shalom, Israel. First and foremost, I want to give all honor, glory, and praise unto YAHAWAH BaHashem, YAHWASHI BaHashem, Rakwak Wadash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. Shalom to the mighty Akim, Wa'akwafim, who are diligently waiting to be delivered from this penal captivity. This is Brother Kawakab coming at you with another lesson. Shalom to the speckled bird that may look like the other nations, but are actually Yasharala. Today's lesson is going to be on this. I was so baffled when I heard this. This was absolutely ridiculous and a straight up slap in the face. So over here, they said
on the news,
new research finding intermittent fasting may pose risks to your heart, the practice where people eat within an 8-hour window or less. Researchers finding it poses a significant risk of dying from cardiovascular disease.
Now this sucks because
that is an absolute damn lie. That is a straight up lie. And you know what? The irony of it is that every time I've ever felt some sort of pain in my heart, and that's happened before. Like obviously, when you were like eating certain things, it was always when I was eating. It was only when I was eating, and obviously correlation does not equate to causation, of course, but it's just such a straight up slap in the face, as well as a slap to someone's intelligence, for them to be saying something so absurdly, demonstrably false. All right, I don't understand how. And Slocky, this is the thing where I've also heard other different stuff where now they're doing these types of studies in the on the news. They're publicizing it on the news, and it's like, why are we going to the news for health related information? All right, like why is it that they deem that this is an appropriate time to make a story on that? So over here, I just thought, like, okay, this is a ridiculous thing. I have to make a lesson on it. And if anything, a lot of the stuff which you heard him saying, because even this Edomite man, he was talking against and saying, like, this is actually just, it doesn't make any sense that they would say that. And maybe there is no, it's like not maybe, but he was basically saying that it was a target, like they wanted to get a certain thing. Okay, they wanted to get information on a certain outcome based off of the they wanted to get a certain outcome based off of the information that they had. All right, so as a result of that, of course, it's gonna the end result is going to be whatever they want to say, however they want the narrative to be portrayed. So as a result of that, they're gonna say stuff like that. Okay, which also, that's what Esau tends to do, where they say, oh yeah, this study does this study, the statistic says that X, Y, and Z, where it's often flawed. Like a lot of times this stuff is flawed. All right, and there was another dude, Slakia, but there was a Jake that was basically talking and saying, or not talking. There was a Jake that had done a research, all right, his own research, where he had stuck around with, or he had shadowed a bunch of police officers. Basically, I forgot which state in America it was in, but he basically said he had shadowed a bunch of police officers, and he noticed that in the statistic that, because the thing about the statistic was, he was trying to figure out, are cops actually provoking so-called black people and stuff like that. And I will admit that maybe the results were skewed because he was shadowing them, he was watching them. So I will say that, but at the same time also, I think that the fact of the matter is that he was like saying, like, sometimes people don't publicize their studies or the results of their studies because they don't want to go against what the norm is or what the public opinion is. So he was saying that as he was doing his stuff and whatever and showing it to other people or to his peers, he was basically saying that people were saying, hey, do not publicize this, do not go out with this and stuff like that, X, Y, and Z, blah, blah, blah. And you say, like, no, I have to do it because people need to know the truth. People need to know X, Y, and Z and whatnot. So basically, he had publicized the information that oftentimes whenever cops move to deadly force, it is more than not, I won't say all the time, but more than not provoked by the so-called black person in question. That is the one that that's the person that actually pushes things to that case. Now again, as I said before, I believe that it might not be fully accurate because again, being as if he is shadowing them, he's in their presence while it's happening, then of course, the police officers are going to act a different way because they're being watched and whatnot. But so as a result of that, I do believe that might be that might not be the most accurate information, but still I think it is something that is, in terms of like statistics and how studies go, oftentimes it doesn't always give the most accurate information given the circumstances and how tests are conducted. Okay. Anyway, continuing on with back to the whole fasting thing. So the thing with fasting is that the Lord, literally told us. Well, first off, let's get this. Well, first off, let's take a step back. 2 Corinthians 2 verse 11, so I can stay in order. All right. Lest Satan get an advantage of us, for we are not ignorant of his devices. Basically, that's the thing where what Esau does is he tells people what to do, how to think, and certain things where, as a result of that, our not necessarily priorities, but our mind or our perspectives definitely change. Okay, so someone that does intermittent fastings or just fasting in general, okay, they'll think, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, whatever is healthy, and then they hear, oh, you're gonna get a heart attack. Well, like it just, I'm not trying to go off of any anecdote, but it's just like I kind of find it hard to believe, and this is why it's important to prove all things, where rather than just I don't know, take the slack it, that's the thing, rather than just take the word of them, it's like though I understand if most people are incapable of doing so, but sometimes it's good to learn how these studies were conducted. All right, and I think this guy even goes into it. All right, let's listen to it one more time, a little bit more.
Based on a 24-hour dietary recall. It's based on having that person remember what they ate, which I don't even know what I ate 2 days ago. And they mainly looked at this pattern of 16-hour fasting with an 8-hour eating window. Now, this was sponsored by the American Heart Association, so we know it's legitimate because they're very unbiased.
The findings set to be presented at an American Heart Association conference.
But this is just another one of those studies where all you have to do is put a little doubt in the consumer's mind, and that's enough to get people to question, should I do it? Should I not? Is it going to be dangerous? Am I going to die of a heart attack? This was a tactic that the tobacco industry has used for many, many years. Now, what I found about the author,
Slakia was muted. Basically, that's the thing with Esau. What Esau does is he tries to push a narrative by taking stuff out of context. Like, for example, like they'll say this, critics say this movie is terribly, or something, I don't know, some sort of adjective that sounds like it could be good, but then it's taken out of context. It's like someone says this is absolutely this is absolutely, all right, or maybe let's say, for example, they said this movie is amazing, and then the actual quote was, this movie is amazingly trash. And that's basically what Esau does when they do stuff. Like, they take this stuff out of context, or take only a little bit of information in order to push whatever narrative that they want. All right, so something to remember. All right, next, let's continue on. Job chapter 13 verse 4, but ye are forgers of lies, ye are all physicians of no value. Basically, another thing is just in general where their goal is actually to destroy the people. Okay, they only, as a matter of fact, what was that one video It was something about the purge. Bear with me one moment, because I want to get this and show you this. Hopefully I saved it. Yes, I did save it.
Was found burned to the ground, a single phrase carved into the dirt beside it. The purge begins when we say it does. To this day, no record of Ash Hollow exists on any map, but if you drive east, ran through the chaos, holding something tightly against her chest, her father's severed hand, wrapped in a torn bedsheet. By morning, 72% of the town was dead. But here's the terrifying part. The footage was never leaked. It was shown only to top officials, who called it a resounding success. 2 years later, in 19...
So yeah, basically, they said that they thought that this purge thing where 70 whatever percent was killed, it was a success to them. Them people dying is considered a success. People stopping doing stuff that's healthy for them. Because I don't know if fasting is a more common thing in recent times. I haven't really heard about that, but I do know that for me personally, I have. Actually, maybe yes, because I believe Terry Crews said that he partakes in that, and I think certain celebrities as well, they have been kind of talking about how, oh yeah, we're doing this intermittent fasting, X, Y, and Z, blah blah blah, and stuff like that. Well, it's like, while I don't think celebrities are the best sources of anything positive, I still do believe that you can get some good off of someone, all right? But yeah, off of them, like a broken clock is right twice in the day, or whatever the phrase is called. Anyway, Job 13 verse 4. Slakia. No, yeah. Sirach 12 verse 10. Never trust thine enemy, for like his iron rests, so is his wickedness. Okay, that's basically the thing where don't just trust the stuff that Esau says at face value, right? Just because it's on the news doesn't mean that it's true, which I believe that's definitely an absolute lie. All right, where to say that fasting can raise your chances of a heart attack is utterly ridiculous. All right, so as a result of that, that's where just be cautious about what you listen to. Next, 1 Corinthians 3 verse 18, let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seems to be wise, hold on, that's the wrong, that's not what I wanted. Slock here. 1 Corinthians 7 verse 5, defraud ye not one the other, except it be with consent for a time, that ye may give yourselves to fasting and prayer, and come together again, that Satan tempt you not for your incontinence. Basically, fasting, that's the main thing. It is good that we give ourselves to fasting. All right, it's good that you take the time to basically abstain. That's basically what fasting is, where you are just the same way you abstain from eating, you could abstain from anything, but that's the thing where you just, okay, well, let me take a step back from certain things and whatnot. And food is a perfect example, as it builds self-control and discipline. But of course, what they're trying to promote here, is, oh yeah, just eat, just keep on eating, eat every day, every second of every minute of every hour, just keep on eating. Hell, eat 18 hours a day. All right, only have that time of sleeping, of not doing it. But even then, people don't even have 8 hours of rest. Continuing on, Proverbs 3 verse 5, trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto thine own understanding. That's basically the thing. You really think that the Lord YAHAWAH would make us to partake in something, practice something that would put our health at risk? All right, like that's the thing. All the things that he's been doing, even the dietary laws, it's all been for our benefit, for our health. All right, that's why we don't eat pork. That's why we don't eat sea bugs. All right, that's why we we watch what we do to our health, and we don't just partake in any sort of self-destructive behaviors. All right. So yeah, that was basically what I was about to start off with, but I'm glad I waited. Anyway, continuing on, Matthew 15 verse 14. Let them alone. Let they be blind leaders of the blind, and if the blind lead the blind, both shall fall into the ditch. Basically, so yeah, to end it off there, these devils are trying to lie to people, tell people, oh, don't fast, don't do this and whatnot. When in actuality, that would have been good, a positive for your health and for us in general. But so with that, I pray the system was edifying. I'm going to give all honor, glory, and praise unto YAHAWAH, Hashem, YAHAWASHI, Hashem, Ruach Kwadash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, Abad, Bald, Shalom.